Hey everyone, how you doing today? It's me, David, coming to you from the Beatles Corner. We are collecting the Beatles 101. And I want to just start. If you're a regular viewer, you've noticed that there's been a bit of a gap between this video and my last video. Things have been nuts around here. Don't want to go into too many specifics, but we finished up a house renovation for my stepson and got the house listed up for sale. So we were working feverishly on getting that done. Also, you may know from previous videos, we've got puppies. we've been doing puppy breeding, and so we've had a bunch of deliveries, and it's just been chaotic around here. But I want to take some time and do another one of these comparison videos. Which of these versions sounds best to me? We had left off with Revolver, and I did a Sgt. Pepper video about I guess a year ago when I got my first British copy of Sgt. Pepper. So I'm going to let that one stand. The one out of this BC13 box set sounds equally spectacular. I might do a video comparing the two British versions I have. But so that means next in line is Abbey Road. Abbey Road, yes, you know what? I'm skipping over for now the White Album and Yellow Submarine. But as I get more time, I'll be able to do those videos. But I have listened to Abbey Road, my several versions of Abbey Road somewhat recently. So I figured, why not? Let's do a little review on Abbey Road. So I'm going to do something a little bit different in this video. We're going to do some close-up videos. I'll show you the records and let you know where I rank them at that point. Then I'll come back and talk more about it. All right? So let's go roll that video. So we'll start here with my least favorite version, which is this the 2012 vinyl version from the 2009 digital remasters. So I'll give you a look at what the record looks like itself. Things I like about this is that it's a nice, pristine, clean, crisp version of the album. It's on heavyweight vinyl. Even the inner sleeve is a nice original style black apple type sleeve with a mylar lining. The things I don't like, the primary thing I really do not care for is that it just sounds sterile and there's no warmth to it. It's a very cold sounding album. It's kind of like, I think I've said this on one of the other videos, it's kind of like if you're cooking something, let's say you're baking a cake according to a recipe, and there's just no heart and soul into what you're baking. And that's what this sounds like to me. It's a serviceable version of the album. It just has no life to it, no warmth. It's very cold sounding. So let's go to the next one and see what that one is. Okay, the next one is the 2019 anniversary version, remixed by Giles Martin and Sam O'Kell. This has more warmth and feeling to it, in my opinion, than the 2012 vinyl version. But it's just a little different, a little too different for my tastes. It's still, even though it has a little bit more warmth, it still has... it's just, there's a sterility to it that I'm not really crazy about. But again, just like that 2012 version, heavyweight vinyl, it's a beautiful package. It's nice and clean looking, but just lacks some life to it. Not as bad as the 2012. Again, serviceable if you wanted a different mix of the album. And it's not a radical remix. It's just, to me, it's kind of like if it was mixed originally in mono and then into stereo. It's like taking maybe a mono mix and stereoizing it. So that's what I feel. But so that ranks, number 3 of the 4 versions that I have. So let's check out the next one. So here's my number 2 pick, which I guess you will then realize what my number 1 is. So this is the American version of the album on the Apple label. I think this is probably a 1973 pressing, and I would have purchased this brand new in the late 70s, so I'm kind of surprised I still got it on an Apple label, because by now I would have should have gotten purchasing new on a orange Capitol label, or maybe even the purple 1978 label. But I picked this as number 2, even though it has a little bit of a muddy sound compared to the British version or the other versions. It has warmth. It just has a nice warm sound to it. And I grew up listening to this version, so it's also a sentimental thing for me. But, I mean, that leaves what my number 1 is. So let's take a quick look at that. Spoiler, spoiler, you already know. Alright, so surprise, surprise, my number 1 is the British version from 1978. My BC13 Beatles collection box set version, and mastered by Harry Moss, I do believe. I should double checked. I'm looking at the run out groove as we speak. I'm going to assume it was. So anyway, this actually was the first record I listened to out of the box set. And like the British version of Sgt. Pepper, and like several other of the British pressings, it was like listening to the album for the very first time. Just spectacular in sound. Treble where it needed to be. Great bass. Just so balanced and open and nice. And it just, it sounded crisp and clean like the digital versions, but full of life and warmth like my American version. So I was getting really the best of all worlds with this 1978 British pressing on the Apple label. So let's turn it back over to me in the Beatles corner. So there you go. Abbey Road is, and for me, it's not one of my go-to albums, and I'm not quite sure why. Probably because I actually favor the earlier music, stuff from like 63, 64, 65. For me, the Beatles in 1964 is a sweet spot. So I tend to listen to those more. This is more of a special occasion album when I'm in the mood for listening to it. But just it is a great overall album. It's got some duds. I mean, let's take off Maxwell's Silver Hammer. Sorry, Ringo, Octopus's Garden, nice children's song, but for me, those two songs don't really belong on the album. If Ringo had another song that he had written, like if, let's say, he did Back Off Boogaloo, that would have been a cool little song to put on here. And instead of Maxwell's Silver Hammer, how about Another Day? Or if he had written, I think he had at this point, Uncle Albert, Admiral Halsey would have fit in great on this album. But those are the two stinkers for me on this album. But and like I said, listening to the British version of this album, it was like listening to this record for the very first time. Just blew my mind. So if you do have an opportunity to pick up a British analog version of this album, I can only speak from my experience. This 1978 pressing is awesome. It's awesome. I really enjoy it. So there you go. We'll see what album I want to do next, what I have the opportunity to do. So we'll catch you hopefully very soon. We'll catch you in about a week. And until then, it's me, David, coming to you from the Beatles Corner. We are collecting the Beatles 101. I will catch you on the flip side. Thanks for your patience with me. Thanks for watching. And let me know what you think of my critique in the comments. Thanks again for watching.